Hello, and thank you for coming in today to interview for our early childhood science position.
No, thank you. It really is all my pleasure.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about your teaching philosophy regarding science. Would that be all right?
Of course.
Great, let's get started. When you think about science instruction for your students, do you think direct instruction or an inquiry-based approach is more beneficial, and why?
I definitely think that there's a time and place for both in the classroom. I think that when you're introducing a topic and you're giving direct instructions, that you need to be using direct instruction strategies. But definitely when you're doing hands-on activities and experiments, I think inquiry-based learning is the way to go.
Thank you, I agree. Now picture your future classroom in your mind. If I were to walk in on a typical day, tell me some things I would see.
I definitely think every student needs different things in the classroom. So I think that you would see some students that learn best individually, working by themselves, but for the majority of the class, they'd be working in groups and transitioning from centers and stations so that they can get the most out of their time within my classroom.
Those ideas sound really student-centered and engaging. As you know, we use the 5E lesson plan for science instruction. Let's say you are planning a unit on matter. What is one activity you could do for each of the 5Es?
For Engage, I definitely would start with an interactive read aloud. I would do this because it is an introduction to the topic and it also activates prior knowledge from the students about what they might know about the topic at hand. For Explore, I would do something along the lines of a root beer float activity. The root beer float definitely engages the students as well, and it introduces each of the states of matter to them. And for the Explain, I would introduce the vocab that they observed within the root beer float activity, and I would have a class discussion about the observations that they discovered during the experiment. For the Elaborate, I would do an ice melting activity, or we would watch a video about ice melting, and we would implement this vocab that we just learned into the class. And for the Evaluate, I would have them write something in their science notebooks that I could take home with me, and I could see what they have learned about the states of matter.
I've enjoyed hearing your thoughts. One last question. What makes you stand out as the best candidate for this position?
I definitely think my experience within a classroom is a great thing to have in the classroom. I think that Miami provided me with a lot of strategies and tips and tricks in the science classroom, and I definitely think my philosophy and inquiry-based knowledge in the classroom would make me the best candidate for this job.
Thank you for coming in today.